Hey, what's going on guys? It's Panda here, and guess what? We're back for some more Katawa Shoujo, and look! We have a new picture! Yay! We've got Hisao, Hanako touching my chest, and then Lilly! It looks like Lilly Lilly must have been when Lilly was a kid, is what I'm trying to say. God damn. Right. Let's jump back into things, shall we? And since I'm an idiot and didn't start my timer, I'm gonna do that now. Alright. Let's get down to things. Oh, by the way, I may or may not be able to upload this weekend and possibly until Tuesday, so I'll try and get some longer episodes done this part. But if I don't, I do apologise, and I'll make it up to you next time I'll be able to upload, which will possibly be Wednesday, so I do apologise in advance. Please don't kill me. Right. I think I read this. I contemplate her statement for a long moment. Yeah, I think you might be. It draws the intended reaction. She's cute when she's pouting. Still, I can't really imagine what's so good about winter. You can't go out without building up, and you still freeze anyway. I used to live further north. Oh, that's right, sorry, I was doing Lily's voice. I used to live further north, where there'd be plenty of snow to play in, so it's a little nostalgic. I don't like the heat very much either. Damn it, I think I've messed up Lily's voice again. At least you can wear a skirt, so don't complain about that. She gives an amused giggle as we both get back to finishing off our already melting cones. I idly sit and watch the crowds going by as we eat, catching bits and pieces of conversation. Did you hear what Janet did the other day to John? Oh man. Oh, that toilet seat will never be the same again. I don't know what kind of conversation that is, but that sounds pretty messed up. Oh, that Janet, she can get into a lot of trouble. Looking to Lilly, I see her dutifully licking her ice cream. Okay, glad we're not licking anything else at this point. From the top downwards. Oh! Blissfully unaware of the fact that it's beginning to melt. I think there's a little bit of inside sexual innuendo there. Or that's just my dirty mind, which I have no doubt that it is. It's melting. Where? Down a bit. Oh god! She lowers her mouth from the top of the cone but has no idea of exactly where the ice cream is dripping. What follows is a game of guiding her left and right until she finally finds it. Am I the only one that thinks this is extremely dirty? I mean, come on. If you replace cone and maybe a few other words with something else, she lowers her mouth from the top of the... Oh, but has no idea of exactly where the is dripping. Alright, I'll be quiet, I'm sorry. To any onlooker, it must seem absolutely bizarre. A girl with her eyes closed, turning her cone over and over as the guy next to her gives instructions. A strange variant of childhood blindfold games, maybe. Whoa. In good time, we finally finish our treats, and while away the time conversing casually. Ooh. Caught mid-sentence, Lilly perks her head in her trademark manner. It's an unmistakable sign that something's caught her attention. Ah. What is it? I just farted. No. Lily's not that rude. She would never do such a thing like that. Ladies don't do that sort of thing. Ladies like Lilly. Is Akira somewhere over there? I think I heard her. I raise an eyebrow as I look in the direction she's facing, somewhat doubtful of her ability to pick out Akira's lone voice in the din. She is her sister. I mean, you can usually pick up your siblings' voices. Sure enough though, a blonde girl in a suit can be seen through the tiny gap. There she is! Between people walking every which way. She's creeping up on us. I raise a hand and wave, trying to catch her attention. Satao! Hey, Satao! She stops in her tracks and looks toward me, evidently noticing my calls. As she does, I notice someone walking beside her. Hey, she's smiling. I can't get a good look at whoever... I don't mean Lilly either, I mean Akira. Look, she's smiling. Whoever it is though, before the two begin walking towards where we are. Who is it? I want to see who the other person was. As they reach us, Lilly and I stand and dust ourselves off. Akira? Sorry. Hey, you two. Ooh, who's this? She nods towards me, a gesture which I quickly return. My gaze shifts towards the young girl next to her, and our eyes meet. As they do, Akira pops a hand onto her head, a move which doesn't seem to faze her. I don't believe we've met. I'm... Hideaki. Oh, I hope I've pronounced that right, I've probably messed it up. Pleased to meet you, Hisao. The guy's in, huh? Guess I dodged a bullet there. He bows... eBay. Somewhat restrained by Akira's hand being on his head. It's... What? Oh, Hideaki's here too? Are you well? Akira's been taking very good care of me, thank you. That's a guy? I'm confused. Akira grins as if to confirm the point and rubs his head hard, dragging it around in a circular motion. His dreary face during this is somewhat amusing. Uncle's out on business again, so I'm just taking him around town for today. It's a guy? What? I'd have preferred to be spending the day on a date with my boyfriend, but... Well, hey, I can fill that position if you really need it, you know? I'm always open to those sort of things. Hideaki gives a cough to try and redirect Akira's thoughts. As he does so, though, I find mine wondering. They're related? And further, as first cousins? I suppose it explains why she's taking care of him in any case. That's seriously not in the way. Come to think of it, Hideaki, how did you know my name? Can we stop saying his name, please, because I swear I'm butchering it. Akira told me, being a Yamaku student, I suppose you're disabled in some way? Not everyone in Yamaku is disabled, which I only learned a handful of days ago. I give silent thanks to Shizune and Misha for their stream of information about how the school works. Because of them, I found out that since the school will accept practically anybody suffering from non-mental disabilities, it doesn't discriminate against healthy people either. It seems unlikely that many in good health would enroll there though. While the standard of education is pretty high, it's extremely isolated and very much focused on helping disabled students. I think it would be a pretty cool school to go to, I mean, considering you get to hang out with people like Lilly, Tanaka, Kira, Shizune, Misha. Maybe not Misha, but, you know. Actually, come to think of it, no, I wouldn't want to stay there, you know, maybe because, use an asshole. Sorry. Something in my throat. You're dodging the question. Damn, he's sharp. Before I can say another word though, he decides to take a stab at himself. If I were to call it myself, how? Akira looks mildly curiously at me. Her interest is piqued as well. That sure was a lucky guess. How did you... You show no missing limbs or deformities, so external disabilities are out. Just kinda like Rin. Considering the lack of any strange mannerisms, it's also unlikely that you'd have any mental disability. But Yamaku doesn't take mentally disabled students. I know. Leaving that aside, the only possibility left is that of internal disabilities. I don't know which one you might hear, so I guessed correctly as it turns out, and your reaction confirmed my guess. More than a little bemused, I look to Akira. She grins and shrugs, obviously taking some enjoyment out of her partner's deductions. He's sharp, yes, but more than a little unsympathetic. Logical, but lacking in tact. His attitude reminds me of Shizune, in a way, as do his looks. Oh, it's just because of the glasses. May I ask why you're staring at me? Surely I'm not that unusual a specimen. Does he not know how unusual he looks? I could overlook the spats and clothing as just being coincidental, but the ribbon in his hair really is too much. That's what I thought. This is entirely beside the point though. Sorry, you just remind me of someone. Akira gives a sharp jab with her elbow. Gives him a sharp jab with her elbow. Told you you're not that much different from her. He coughs into his hand and tries to maintain an upright and serious demeanour. I see you've met my sister then. Oh, perhaps my full name might help you. Ah, what do you know? You are probably thinking of my sister, Shizune Nakamachi. Oh, so he's Shizune's brother. Looks like a girl. Wait a minute. If Hideaki is the son of Akira's uncle, and Shizune is his sister, then that means Lilly and Shizune's fathers are brothers. Therefore, Lilly and Shizune are first cousins? Wait, what? Lilly groans in an uncharacteristically unrestrained manner. The reaction earns an amused smirk from her sister. The enmity between the two just took on another meaning. I had thought it simply a matter of difficulty of communication between the two, but a family feud makes things much more complicated. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. That's true. She gives a half-hearted shrug. She mustn't give as much weight to the two's conflict as I do. Well, that's how it is. What are you up to anyway on this fine day? We're shopping for Kanako's birthday present. The day will be coming up soon, so this is the last chance we will have before school starts again for the week. Akira makes a strange face as if Lilly had just said that the sky wasn't blue and the clouds not white. But they're not. Well, at the moment they're dark. For me, it's night time. Isn't her birthday on the 10th next month? Yes. Why? Is something wrong? Akira's face seems to collapse. It's an utterly unbefitting expression for someone so rowdy and headstrong. Folks didn't call you yet? As Lilly shakes her head cluelessly, I look at Hideaki to see if he knows anything about this. A simple shrug is his only answer. For a moment, Akira ponders what to do before smiling once again. The fact that she can hide her emotions so quickly and effectively is unsettling. She'd be good at poker. I'd be good to poker. I'd play poker with the... Oh, never mind. Hey, Shorty, sorry, but could you hang with Hisao for a while? Oh, no, I don't want to hang with him. He nods and waves her off, Akira placing an arm on Lily's shoulder as she guides her away and out of earshot. Oh, I want to go talk with Lilly. And so, I'm alone with Shorty. So, nice weather, isn't it? Oh god, yeah, that's a brilliant icebreaker. It seems so. Cool. This is a great... I guess they dumped us. Indeed. How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice. Hi, I'm Panda. Yeah, feel free to use that line in the clubs if you want. It's a sure winner. What an attempt at small talk. I've got no idea how to talk to this guy. I didn't know how to pronounce that word, so I wasn't going to say it. And his robotic responses aren't helping. Blood and a stone come to mind. Without another word, he begins to rock on his feet in an obvious gesture of boredom with this discussion. He really is like a little kid, despite his serious demeanour. I wonder how old he is. Expecting the conversation over, I decide to accomplish what I came here to do in the first place. I'm going to go search for a present. Coming? Not much else to do. Well, you sure are a fun little person to hang out with, aren't you? In a little while, we come to a small shop beside the convenience store. I believe I know what shop this is. For once, the store windows aren't filled with electronics and computer games. Hey, what's wrong with electronics and computer games? But dolls, stuffed bears, and all manners of wood-crafted oddities. Othello's Antiques? An antique store? Well, if there's anything in this town that'd suit Hanako, I guess it'd be here. Are you saying she's old and decrepit, like antiques? I reach for the old-looking door handle, but pull back at the last minute as I realise my companion's gone adrift. Not coming in? I'll just be in the newsstand for a while, don't mind me. His voice makes it painfully clear he has zero interest in what's in the store, and that he doesn't feel obligated to follow me. As he wanders off without another word, I push the thick wooden door and enter the store, a bell above me ringing out. Ding ding ding. The musty smell of old books and wooden shelves and distinctly anachronistic. I look to the counter beside the door. The greying man behind it sits there silently reading a tattered book. He certainly fits the look of the place. Slowly wandering through the aisles, the person I'm reminded of as I inspect each handcrafted or imported oddity in turn isn't Hanako. Crouching down, I examine the ancient oak desk inside the shop window. At least 30 dolls, all varying widely in size and make. The only similarity between them is the long Victorian dresses they wear. You know how... oh my god, another one of those ugly paintings. You know how... I mean, quite often you'll know what the word is, like, because you will often see it in books and read it and you'll write it down, but you never actually have to use the word in sentences when you're talking. That's why I fuck up a lot of these words, because I don't really use them in my everyday vocab. So please don't kill me for that. I turn the price tag of one that looks to be about waist height. It's not in my price bracket at all. Don't be a cheapskate. I do the same to each of them, getting more and more depressed as they get smaller and smaller in size. That is, until I reach the very smallest one. It's affordable, just, yet of quality make, and with long auburn hair and a little blue dress. Sounds like Lilly. I decide that it's the kind of present Hanako would appreciate. Pretty looking and far from gaudy. After I carefully pick it up, I decide to keep looking around the store. I'm not sure whether it's because I like the atmosphere or out of simple curiosity. Peeking around the corner before I go to the next aisle, I see that the shelves in this one are stocked with wooden toys, from car toys to intricate automatons. Tucked behind a line of nutcrackers, I notice a little plain wooden box. It feels surprisingly light as I pick it up with my free hand. The lid only needs the smallest movement to pop open, the little metal drum inside beginning to rotate immediately. Oh, it's one of those little jukebox things. For seconds on end, I simply stand there listening to the palm-sized melody. As it plays, I take the tiny price tag in my fingers and bring it up to my face, the minuscule cursive writing taking some effort to read. It's affordable. Sort of. Grimacing slightly, I close the lid and make my way to the counter, with doll and music box in hand. Yeah, I know you from the last path. You gave Hanako a dirty look when we left, you bastard. When I lay the two on the counter, the man behind it sits up and takes stock of them. He doesn't hide very well his surprise at someone of my age buying them. It's painful, but I hand over the money for the two and leave the store with a small, opaque bag in hand. It should not be painful. You are buying presents, you are buying gifts for a friend for their birthday. Hideaki, oh man. Being there takes me by surprise. Oh, hi, I thought you'd be at the newsstand. Akira gave me a call. She's waiting for us at the fountain with Lilly. At least that solves the issue of trying to find them again, and no more of this awkward silence. We head off back to the fountain. Hariaki's immaculate posture and presentation, despite his appearance, makes for a strange contrast even as we walk. Lilly and Akira stand there waiting for us, their faces hard to read. Hey, you ready to go, shorty? Hariaki's mood seems to improve as he rejoins her. See ya, Lilly, Hisao. Tell Hanako I said happy birthday. Oh, you're not coming? You came last time. You will. Bye. Goodbye, Akira. Oh, you don't look too happy, Lilly. What did she tell you? And with that, the two disappear into the fracas of the afternoon city crowd. Turning to Lilly, I notice she's carrying a small bag. It's now that I realise why her disposition felt different from before. While Lily's typically the type to wear her emotions on her sleeve, her expression and tone are clouded and difficult to read. Oh, I thought she looked sad. It's more than a little off-putting, but given the effort she's making to hide her emotions, I doubt she wants to be cornered on why she's feeling this way. Already bought Hanako a present? Yes, have you? Yeah. Shall we get back to the bus stop then? Okay, there should be a bus back to Yamaku pretty soon. And with that, we begin to walk. No problem picking up a present this time, It feels strange compared to before. Lily's hand on my forearm feels unusually tense, and the whole atmosphere is extraordinarily awkward. I knew something was up. The silence continues for a long while. I really don't like seeing her like this, neither do I. It's very sad. Naoko's birthday party is going to be held earlier. Is the fourth going to be alright? Tell me you're not going back to Scotland like you were in... Man, I'm probably sending so many spoilers for Hanako's part of my voice and I'm sorry. Really. I have no other possible obligations anyway, so I reflexively nod. And now for this do I remember that doing so is pointless and quickly answer so I speak. Just in my nature to spoil things. I'm a horrible person. She tries to collect herself, a task that looks almost pitiable in how plain it is to see how distant her thoughts are. Sorry, Hisao, you said the bus would be coming soon, right? That's right. By now that she says that, I have an idea. Actually, do you have anything to do later today? I don't believe so. Why do you ask? This is the point where I'd normally take your hand and rush you somewhere, but even without that, you'll have to trust me, okay? I take her hand and gently lead her on, her distant face replaced by one of mild surprise and curiosity. As the waitress sets the cup of tea and cup of coffee that I'd ordered onto the table, I thank her before she takes her leave. Truth be told, I really lucked out in finding this cafe. I didn't really know where I was going, rather I was just looking for any cafe that looked relatively nice. Having managed to recover a little, Lilly tentatively sips at her cup as I take a long gulp of coffee in front of me. As I hoped, her face lights up as she realises what flavour it is. Ah, this is wonderful! Hisao, how did you know that this was... I'd asked for French vanilla black tea. That sounds actually quite good. Hedging my bets that it would be her favourite flavour, or at least one she liked. While I don't really know much about tea, it sounded like one she might appreciate. On the basis of her liking vanilla ice cream, a tea connoisseur I am definitely not. It was a lucky guess. You really like tea, don't you? She puts her teacup down and gives a tiny nod, that familiar small smile thankfully perched on her face once again. Drinking tea is calming, I think. With the amount you drink, are you sure you're not addicted to it? Caffeine addiction's pretty common nowadays. Tea has caffeine in it. I thought tea didn't, or maybe it has a little bit, but not as much as coffee. Did I ever say I wasn't? Aw, you, Lilly. Making a little crack joke like that. She lets out a giggle as my head drops. We all have our vices, I suppose, and there are worse things to be addicted to. Like Hisao here. Addicted to cocaine, heroin, weed. bad stuff that none of you should do. I'm supposed to set an example. People on the internet are supposed to set examples. Bad stuff, don't do drugs, kids. French vanilla black tea, huh? I'll have to remember that. For a while we both silently drink. It's comforting to have someone like her nearby in such new surroundings, even if it's just the two of us sitting in silence. I begin to wonder if this feeling is the same for her until she sets down her cup. I'm beginning to like Lily more and more. Sal, do you mind if I ask you a slightly odd question? That depends on the question, I guess. I was wondering what your favourite colour is. Everyone has one, after all. I almost replied before realising why the seemingly mundane question is actually quite strange. My favourite colour? But she gives a pouting look. Actually, yeah, I didn't even realise until just then why that is such a strange question. Wanting me to answer anyway, while the answer seems unavoidably wasted on her, there isn't any harm in giving it. I've always had a thing for green. Is that why your name is Green? I'd say that's my favourite. Green, is it? What do you think of when contemplating that colour? What things do you... I suppose grass fields and trees in summer. The army as well, with camouflage. Boys in their camouflage. God. Men always seem to like the military. Yep, there you go. Lily's on my mindset right now. But it sounds like a nice colour. A very nice colour. She nods her head a little as if approving of the choice, considering how foreign the concept of colour is to her mind. Labelling it by association seems reasonable enough. If everyone has a favourite colour, then what's yours? White. I'm told that's the colour of snow and ice cream. You're no better than me then. If you only like that colour because of the favourite food, I guess white is nice too though. And speaking of colours, it'll be getting dark soon. Let me help you up. Oh, you're such a gentleman, Hisao. Lily offers her hand, which I take in mind to help level her up from her seat at the table. Its softness compared to mine takes me off guard, as I'm not really used to such casual contact. It doesn't seem to bother her at all, though while it seems obvious why, it feels like just one more ladylike aspect to it. As her hand moves to her pocket, I quickly cut her off. Don't worry, I'll pay for this. Oh, thank you, Hisao. She gives an earnest smile at the gesture, a reward much greater than that of her words. I think we should all learn a thing or two from Hisao on this path. He's doing very well so far. Have to give him a round of applause. A slow clap, maybe. Alright, that's enough slow clap. By the time we step off the bus, it's well and truly dark. We make our way up the hill in silence, both of us behaving a little awkwardly, probably because of the day's events. While I'm still concerned over Lily's withdrawn nature after meeting with her sister, the fact I managed to cheer her up even slightly feels like a personal victory. But it feels like the air between us has changed. Maybe it's only a bit, but it's something I don't think either of us realised before. That was a date, wasn't it? Huh. It was. That doesn't elude either of us. The question's answering being so self-evident as to be rhetorical. Awkward as it may be, I don't think this feeling is bad. In fact, quite the opposite. I don't know what it is. I certainly can't be sure, but it feels like something a little more than friendship. Understanding? Empathy? Searching for words to adequately describe it is difficult, nonetheless. Would you like to do this again sometime, Lily, without shopping for presents? The tentative question is met with the same look from Lily as before. Her pale skin makes the rosy tint of her cheeks just slightly more noticeable, and her face, though still pointed to the street ahead of her, lowers just a little. Okay. Aww. Got such a cute couple going on here. Katawa Shoujo, do 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 do. I walk down the hall of the girls' dormitories, my school bag in hand. A doll lies inside, carefully placed on top of a small box. I've been carrying the box in there for a while now, still not sure of what to do with it. This whole situation, come to think of it, is bizarre. While I've known of Hanako's upcoming birthday party for a while now, I had no idea of exactly what the celebrations would be until I found a single note left in the abandoned tea room earlier today. I hold it up and read it again, double-checking the instructions. The plain black handwriting's fairly legible despite Lily's blindness, clearly thanks to the considerable effort and care. Hisao, we'll be holding a party at my place. Please come at 6 o'clock to room 225 in the girls' dormitory. Sorry for notifying you this way, but I have class representative duties. Lilly Satao. Not reassured, I continue walking down the hallway until I reach Lily's dormitory room. I hesitate for a second, but eventually give 3 sharp taps on the door. A brief and muffled exchange of words can be heard from the other side. Listening closer, I can just pick out Hanako and Lily's voice. As they finish, Lilly calls out, "Might that be Hisao?" "Yep, I got the note you left for me." "You can come in, the door is unlocked." Glad that I managed to get the right room, I press down on the handle and let myself in. I'm not sure if I like my interpretation of Lily's voice, but there's not much I can do, and I don't like doing the same as Hisao and his inner thoughts, so I've tried to make it a little softer tone, because I think that's how Lilly is. I don't know. As the door swings open, my greeting to them is stolen from my mouth. Lilly sits at a low table in the centre of the room in her pyjamas, while on the other side sits Hanako in a nightgown. Being dressed in only my normal school clothes, I feel quite out of place. I steal a quick glance at the lovely side of the two, my eyes tearing themselves from Lily's long, thin and pale legs only with a measure of reluctance. "Hi, I think I brought everything that was needed." She smiles and nods. I wonder if she's even aware of the pleasant sight she makes. Thin dark blue silk of her pyjamas really suits her, accentuating both her eyes and her curves. The look of her last night, the tentatives and almost shy demeanour, seems all but replaced by her coy nature. It's nice to see her confidence return, though I can't help casting my mind back to how she looked back then. I look to Hanako, who nervously sits opposite her in her gown. It isn't a surprise that she'd wear something so conservative, though it definitely looks cute. "Hi Hanako, happy birthday." "Ah, thank you." She's unusually skittish, despite the fact that she's warmed up to me considerably over the weeks we've come to know each other. This is a pretty unusual situation, I guess. "Feel free to take a seat, Hisao. I'll just pour you two some tea." "Sure thing." Lilly takes the steaming red teapot from the side of the table and gently pours its contents into our teacups as I take a seat beside them, sitting my bag against a nearby wall. With my senses returned and hormones somewhat calmer, I realise that this is the first time I've ever been in Lily's room. Let me just say, now would be the worst time, Hisao, for you to get a boner. Alright? I'm just saying, don't do it, man. You'll ruin all your chances. The first thing I notice is the ambient smell, just slightly different from that in mine. Probably faint perfume or nail polish. It could be anything of a girl's, really. Another is the plain nature of the room, visually. Beige walls, a smart yet unadorned cabinet, the lack of posters or wall hangings. It's distinctly utilitarian. Something I should have anticipated given her blindness. The only thing that really seems out of the ordinary is several piles of books sitting on the floor, each reading from roughly knee height to waist height. Some of them have printed titles, others are entirely blank except for the dots of braille. The fact that the ones with printed titles are uniformly in English is interesting, though not completely unexpected. She did mention her parents impressing their language upon her and Akira after all. Your room looks nice, Lily. I hear a call of thanks from beside my shoulder, looking back to Hanako. Her gaze is fixed on her lap and her hands are nervously clutching on her gown. It's now that I notice why. With these colours on, the extent of her scarring is far more visible, reaching down her neck and out to cover her right shoulder. Considering this is a party for her, she doesn't really look like she's enjoying the experience now that I'm here. Well, if you'd known Hanako a little more, you'd know why. Just saying, bro. Just saying. So how old are you turning? 18? Her look of surprise not at all helped by her total lack of skill at hiding her feelings, shows that she was trying to mentally tune me out. This is really quite awkward. Yes. On the plus side, there's only 2 more years till you can drink, so who's older, you or Lily? Lily, she had her birthday in February. What about yours? Earlier this year, so it's already passed. Unstated is that it passed while I was stuck in the hospital. That was a particularly low point of the experience. It sucks that they can't drink until they're 20. Over here in New Zealand you can drink when you're 18. I'm pretty sure it's 21 in America. Conversation with her dries up as quickly as expected. It isn't long before Lily's finished preparing our drinks, setting down the 3 teacups in front of us. I pick mine up, immediately noticing a much stronger aroma and taste than the tea we've been having. It tastes different than the tea we have in school. It tastes better than the tea we have in school, is what you should have said. It's a different variety, rather than the kind we've been having there. You've never tasted orange Japur? Japur? Sounds like a French word. Before. Japur? Japur. Japur. Je m'appelle. Not that I can remember. I usually drink coffee after all, like when we were in town. This is nice though. I don't drink coffee or tea. As we settle down and sip, Hanako seems to be more relaxed, or at least a bit less tense about my presence. We all finish our cups at about the same time, with Hanako failing, third time lucky, rather badly at hiding her anticipation for the cake that's sitting to the side, begging to be eaten. Come to think of it, I'm feeling very eager myself. First things first though. Lily? Yes, now it's good. Each of us knowing exactly what the other means, I lean sideways and dig around in my bag for the doll I bought Hanako, as Lily gets up and retrieves her gift. Now, Lily. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Hiding our gifts in our hands, we present them both on the table at the same time. Happy birthday, 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 woo, yeah! Okay, maybe there's not that many people in the room. Hanako silently looks around, sits looking at them for seconds on end, out of sheer surprise. I don't know how I'm messing these sentences up so much. My little wooden doll, replete with Victorian-era dress and little hat, lies next to a light brown and fluffy stuffed bear from Lily. She clutches at her gown as she moves to speak, not taking her eyes off the modest presents. Thank you, Lily and Hisao. Oh, I've always loved this. Her voice begins to crack as Lily reaches forward, wrapping her in a soft embrace. The sight of Hanako holding Lily so tightly is heartwarming, so much so that I couldn't wipe a smile off my face even if I wanted to. As Lily gently rests her face on Hanako's head, she speaks so quietly and softly that I can barely hear. Happy birthday, Hanako. Happy birthday. I don't think you really should have interrupted there, Hisao. They were having a bit of a moment and you sort of ruined it. Hanako gives a small nod, holding on to Lily for a time before breaking off and wiping an eye. Aww. I guess that for Hanako, simply having anyone, to be there and love her would be special. The fact that Lily and I can now share that role for her is something I think I will always be grateful for. Hanako gently takes the doll and teddy bear, holding them both to her chest as she warmly smiles. Fucking onions. For a long time, all three of us simply sit in happy silence. The quiet is not broken until Lily's soft voice beckons. Shall we have at the cake then? Her proposal... Oh my god! Snap out of it! Oh. Her proposal was met with two looks of unhidden anticipation. No argument from me. Okay. Phew, that was good. I contentedly sit back, both Lily and Hanako looking just as satisfied with the food as I. It took some effort, but we managed to finish off the cake in one go. I don't think I could fit any more in. I think next time I'll buy a smaller cake. Hanako and I give a chuckle, but I can't help noticing that come this time next year we'll have graduated from Yamaku. The fact is somewhat depressing, since I finally feel as if my life is starting to get back into some kind of order. Idly looking around Lily's neat and orderly room, her books catch my eye once again. This may be a little impetuous, but my curiosity gets the better of me. Besides, I don't think she'll mind in any case. Hey Lily, do you mind if I take a look at one of your books? You're quite welcome to, Hisao. That said, if you can overcome 2 language barriers, I will be quite impressed. 2? Braille and... oh right, English. She gives a nod. I knew you were studying for English, but I'm still amazed that you're this proficient at it. One could say it's a perfect way to avoid people borrowing my collection. She says it in jest, but I am a little disappointed. Having all these books around me with no way of reading them feels like one big tease. Hanako giggles quietly as I reach over the closest pile, plucking the topmost book with only a curious glance. Death on the Nile, in large letters on the cover, is the only printed text to be seen. I sit down for a while with the book open on my lap as Lily and Hanako talk. Try as I might to feel out the dots of braille printed on each page, they seem to blend into one another and become indistinct. I thought this to be a lot easier than it actually is. With some practice though, I could see someone with a better sense of touch than mine managing to read it at a pretty fast speed. I'd love to learn braille, that would be pretty cool. Noticing a silence that had probably begun earlier, I look up from the dotted pages to see Lily smiling as Hanako sips another cup of tea. Is something wrong? Quite the opposite, your curiosity is quite endearing. I am inordinately pleased by the praise, though I can feel my cheeks heating up a little. Thanks, but I don't know how else I could act. To be honest, I wasn't altogether sure of how you saw us, since you were a new transfer student from another school. If you'd pitied us, I would have been quite offended. There's a certain edge to Lily's voice, one that I'd quite possibly place as pride. Glancing over to Hanako, she seems even more subdued than usual, looking towards Lily rather than me. I wouldn't worry about that. Considering the position I found myself in, I'm perhaps the last person that should be dispensing pity on others. My parents' first interactions with me after my heart attack, I wouldn't want anyone to see that kind of face. I catch myself from going any further, but not soon enough. Both the girls seem to be put off, Lily especially. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone that far. An awkward silence reigns for a few beats, thankfully ended as Lily's head perks up in a gesture I've come to easily recognise. Hear something? The door. Well, that was kind of obvious. I could even hear that. Everyone looks towards it, trusting in Lily's senses. True enough, the door handle shudders and turns, a flash of yellow and black slipping through. Hey, Akira! Akira Satao was in the house. Happy birthday, Hanako! Thank you. Akira takes a seat at the table as she flops her tall bag beside her. She has her trademark boisterous air about her, making no small deal of her entrance. Hanako clutches her gown to steady herself, but doesn't appear too shaken after she settles down. I guess she must have met Akira before. Not a huge surprise given how close Akira and Lilly are. Akira doesn't seem to be the least bit put off by Hanako's scarring, despite its tremendous but she also doesn't pull any punches in how she acts despite Hanako's shy nature. I thought you said you have to oh my god. I thought you said you'd have to work, Akira. Did you manage to get off for a while? Yeah, kinda. I feel bad about ditching the guys doing overtime, so I've got to get back soon. But I felt bad about not coming to your cute little Hanako's birthday too, so for now I'm here. She grins widely at Hanako, who flowers into a full blush as she pins her eyes downwards toward her lap. Her mouth seems to widen and retract over and over as if she was trying to suppress a smile out of embarrassment. It's a little strange how her reaction seems to be more immediate and forceful than when she's embarrassed by the way she looks. All she manages to give in return is a tiny nod, failing to hide her appreciation to any great extent. Not that many people give her positive attention, I suppose. It makes me respect how well Akira can handle her, making her so happy compared to what little I could do. Now then, before I go, she reaches into the bag beside her and grandly displays its contents. Oh, I think I know what's coming. Yeah. Got a bit of Pinot Gris over here, a bit of Shiraz over here. 1991, it's aged well. Out come two large glass bottles with long French names on the labels. Je ne pas clavendam. Hanako's expression is an odd mix of surprise and curiosity, and I suspect mine's no different. Lilly, not seeing the proceedings, is oblivious to what's going on. Akira, this isn't... what is it? Wine. One red, one white. Akira, that's... illegal? I know. Relax, it's not like Shizune's here to scold you. Lilly has a point, it's not exactly allowed on campus. Oh, relax, Hisao, Lilly, Hanako. Akira's got this in the bag. Or anywhere, really. We're still short of the legal drinking age, remember? Well, if you were in New Zealand, you'd be fine. Rich words for someone practically drooling as they examine a bottle. She got me there. I am genuinely interested in trying some, even just a little. While Hanako may not be handling one herself, her look does tell me that she's far from opposed to the notion as well. Lilly rubs her forehead, giving up the fight that she knows Akira would win due to simply not caring enough about those funny rules and regulations. Just don't breathe a word of this to anyone in the school. Please, I beg of you. I'm not stupid, don't worry. That said, I've got to get back to work pretty soon. So soon? But you only just arrived. Sorry, Lilly. Good to see you two again though, and you, Hisao. See you later then. Goodbye, Akira. She levers herself up with a grunt and waltzes out of the room, leaving us alone with the two items on the table. Let's get crunk! Interesting. Lilly gives a nervous giggle at her sister's antics as Hanako takes the wine bottle. So... shall we get wasted? What do you think, Lilly? She rests her elbow on the table and pinches the bridge of her nose. Thinking things through, she doesn't really seem to be able to keep up with her sister. Well, it's already here, we may as well have some. No sooner does she say it than I take a quick glance around the room for glasses. A small groan above me reminds me that Lilly retired to rest on her bed for a bit, a few minutes ago. Almost completely drained of energy, I managed to stand up and drag myself to the side of the bed, sitting down and leaning my back against it. Good God. Ugh. Lilly's groan sounds lifeless. Too much to drink? My head hurts. Oh, this sounds like how I'm gonna be on Sunday. Yeah, too much to drink. I rest my head back and idly stare at the ceiling. What an unmitigated disaster. Grab the bowl. Like proper idiots, we all drank the night away with one glass after another. Hanako simply fell to the side asleep, and it's a miracle I don't feel as ill as Lilly. Hey Hisao, I'm sorry about today. I didn't think this would happen. It's fine, Lilly. To tell you the truth, I had a lot of fun today. Really? I think Hanako did too. No, she certainly did. There's a short silence before another groan resounds from the supine Lilly. You okay? I think I'm gonna be. As you said, I just drank too much. What's the time? The time? I quickly look at my wristwatch. Its numerals barely legible in the gloom. About midnight. Curfew's in effect then. Ah, well, I better stay in your room tonight then. I can't be wandering outside and after curfew. Yeah, guess as much. We'll all have to sleep here for dinner. Oh, yeah! Oh, shit. Oh, as soon as I say it, I hear the sheets moving as Lilly starts to sit up. Hanako. No, go back to sleep. Don't try to get up. Hisao, I have to... You're in worse shape than me by any stretch. Get some rest. But what about... I'll grab some spare blankets and put them over her. Don't worry. No. Hisao! Hisao! Come on, bro. You're supposed to take Hanako back to her. Actually, no. We're all drunk. We shouldn't really take advantage of her. I guess not. As I give a deep yawn... Oh, I bet not, because I always end up actually yawning. And stand to retrieve them. I hear her lie back down with a soft thud. Thank you, Hisao. No problem, it's the least I could do. You look outright wasted. Oh, that's nice. I'm not wasted, just a little bit tired. She starts pouting, a slight slur beginning to distort her words as the alcohol takes hold of her again. I grab a couple of blankets rolled up at the end of her bed. Quietly walking over to Hanako, I carefully lay the blankets over her peacefully sleeping figure, making sure not to wake her up. The thick smell of alcohol coming off her breath makes me doubt she'd wake up no matter what I did though. Oh, well, there you go, there's another opportunity. I stand and take one last measure of the room. 2 girls, both very drunk, and 1 guy sleeping overnight with them in the female student's dorm. What a scandal that'd be if it broke out. As I move to sit back down at the side of the bed, I steal one last glance at Lilly. Her sprawling, dishevelled figure lies resting peacefully, slightly turned to the side. I crouch down to get a better look. Aww. Her white skin blends in with the white pillow of the bed, a look of slumber-born peacefulness on her face. Usually she seems so confident and forward, always there and caring for Hanako. Now though, she seems painfully delicate. I think back to Hanako's presence. I thought it would be a nice occasion for her, but I'd hardly expected it to be so moving. One birthday after another, year after year. Lilly looks amazing right now. Just she and Lilly, all alone. I guess it wasn't just the presents she'd liked. Resigning myself to an uncomfortable sleep, I sit down at the side of the bed once again and rest my tired arms beside me. Hey Hisao. Lily's voice is so quiet I can barely hear it. She must be on the verge of sleep. I know what she's going to ask. Yeah? Thank you. Thank you for what? For being here. That's okay. Damn it. I thought she was going to ask me to sleep with her. As I hear a deep breath, it's obvious Lily's gone to sleep. Guess I was wrong. After closing my eyes, it doesn't take long to for slumber to take me as well. How are you? The soft, barely audible voice lingering in my ears slowly wakes me. I wish I could be awoken like this more often. With a mumble, I slowly open my... Whoa! Ah! Taken by surprise at the face hovering curiously mere millimeters from mine, I make our heads collide with a harsh thud. The impact of our foreheads causes both of us to fall backwards and yelp in pain, Lily sounding more like a squeak toy than a person. Ow, ow, ow. I slowly rub my forehead with one hand, supporting myself with the other. Lily lies a few feet ahead, just doing the same, her face obviously pained. Ah, sorry, your face was kinda close and I acted on a reflex. You okay? My head... It seems she's not actually okay. Come to think of it, I doubt that the impact alone is what's causing her head so much pain. Hangover? You drank a fair bit last night. She silently nods in confirmation as I lever myself up. Damn, she has really long legs. I offer a hand to her and help her back onto her feet. Glancing behind her, I find that Hanako is still fast asleep. It's not fair, I only drank as much as you did. It's very different from what I remember, and anyway, girls have a lower tolerance than men. Ooh, I wouldn't say that. I know quite a few girls that have a pretty high tolerance of alcohol. That doesn't help. Fine, I'll get you a glass of water, just be careful not to trip over Hanako. I rub the sleep out of my eyes, or at least some of it, as I walk to the counter. Attending to someone with a hangover isn't the way I like to spend a morning. Whoa, Hisao. Whoa. Alright, this is the girl you love. Well, maybe you just like her at the moment. You know, you had a date before. I think you should be a little more courteous, you know? You both have hangovers, right? You're both in the same situation. All you need to do is get her a glass of water, sit by her side and comfort her. It's not hard. It only takes a few seconds for the glass to fill, the clear water reflecting the silver of the light that makes it through the thin curtains. It looks like Lily's taken a seat on the side of the bed. I walk over to her while taking care to step over the peacefully sleeping Hanako and place the glass into her outstretched hands. Thank you. No problem. I take a seat next to her, the soft bed having a surprise amount of give. She drinks slowly and methodically. A long silence passes with only Hanako's soft breathing to be heard. With some measure of guilt, I look at Lily's face and attempt to read her expression. Her brow is furrowed and she looks to be lost in thought. For a moment I hesitate, but eventually place a hand on her shoulder and attempt to reassure her. I didn't expect her to flinch rather noticeably at that though. Sorry, I didn't mean to... Lily quickly shakes her head, in a manner somewhat more violent than usual for her. She takes a long breath to steady herself before letting her head sink. I must look terrible right now. I move to protest, but quickly realise that it would be futile to do so. That said, I want her to open up more. If you want to talk about anything, I'm here. Lily gives a self-deprecating snort, as if to mock her own emotions. There's just a lot happening right now. I'm sorry for being so strange recently, especially back when we were in town. Even now I'm a bit confused about everything. Believe me, I know how that feels. She smiles wistfully, resting a cheek on the backs of her fingers. We're a couple of broken young fools, aren't we? Come on, don't say that. Come graduation, we'll be back into the real world. The real world? Sometimes I surprise myself with the way I think about things. I guess the strange divorce feeling of Yamaku and the surrounding town compared to the outside world still hasn't become natural. Maybe it never will. It's strange. In hindsight, being isolated from society like this doesn't feel as bad as it probably should. A weary grin on her face. A wry grin? I'm gonna stick with weary. Lily seems to share the same sense of amusement at the idea. Eventually, though, her smile drops. I'll be going back to Scotland for a week or two soon. No! Is that why we had to reschedule Hanako's birthday party? She gives an affirmative nod. You'll be able to see your family again. At least, you're not looking forward to it. Oh, sorry, at least. You're not looking forward to it? I haven't met my family in 6 years. I don't even know how to act around them anymore. Wait, what? My mouth hangs open as I try to process what she said. If she's 18, that means she'd had been only 12 when they left. I may have seen very little of my parents, what with them both working long hours, but that's... I feel utterly useless, as I struggle to find some way to respond. But why? Why did they leave? Or why are they inviting Akira and I back? Both, I suppose. My father's business has its headquarters in Scotland, and an executive position became available for him there. In the end, he had to move permanently. My mother followed him, but Akira and I stayed in Japan for the sake of both Akira's job within the Japanese branch of my father's company and my education. As for the latter, one of my aunts is gravely sick. I'm sorry. Don't be. It feels strange, really. We're being summoned there for her, yet we've barely met before. I can't even remember the sound of her voice. Oh, that's horrible. Equally strange is the total lack of antipathy she feels towards her family for doing such a thing. I can't help feeling slightly humbled.